Hello and welcome to another edition of the ProtoBalls podcast. ProtoBalls Talk podcast, sorry. I'm ProtoMet.
I'm Barry.
And today we will be continuing the spooky month with the two spooky months with House 2, the second story.
Spooky season. Spooky season.
Makes me wonder why we're covering this in spooky season, but whatever.
It's alright.
It's not spooky, though.
It's a horror comedy, so technically it counts.
I mean, in the loosest sense of horror.
Yeah.
This is more a fantasy horror movie.
More fantasy comedy.
More fantasy comedy. What did I say? Fantasy horror?
Fantasy horror.
Fantasy comedy. I just really want this to be a horror movie, and it's not.
Yeah. Well, this movie eats corn the long way.
I don't even really know what that means. I can imagine what it means,
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, just imagine. No context.
But yes, clearly after the moderate success that the first House did, Sean S. Cunningham decided to produce a second movie with a pun of a title, and clearly no one who actually saw what was going on in the first movie. Because whereas the first movie was a haunted house comedy that also dealt with like guilt and loss to certain degrees, this one decides to just be a wacky adventure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, at least I got one of the Cheers guys in this one, too.
It's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie. But I'm on the side of ProtoMet's on the side where it's just a bad movie.
I do not like this movie.
I'm on the side of, dude, this movie knows what it is, and it's so bad it's good.
I think I could forgive this movie if it wasn't called House. If it didn't have the House title attached to it.
I mean, it's not like the first movie was very good.
I'm not saying it was a masterpiece, but at least it was a haunted house movie, justifying the name House. This one is a movie that takes place in a house that is weird. So it's by the loosest definition of a house movie.
Yeah. If you want a real haunted house movie, we should watch The Changeling sometime.
Yeah, okay. I'm not opposed to that.
It's a good movie. Actually,
I've heard it's a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
I've heard it's a really good movie.
But unfortunately, we're not talking about The Changeling as much as I would love to discuss that movie.
No, we're talking about House 2, the second story. Which implies that this is a continuation of the next movie. But let's face it, this is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch done wrong.
It grossed $10 million, by the way.
That's horrifying. What was the budget?
$3 million.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a success.
Yep.
Oh, no.
That's why they came up with 2 more movies after this. Anyway. I guess the basic plot, and of course Harry Manfredini's doing the music again, because he's in every fucking Sean S. Cunningham film. Like I said in House, and I'm sure I mentioned it in Friday the 13th, because he's in all of those movies.
Also, this movie has Kane Hodder in it as a stunt actor.
Yes, that is true.
This actually predates his first role as Jason, which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, by about a year. Or August 28th, 1987, so it's maybe around the same time. Because 6 came out in 86.
Oh, did it? Maybe
I believe.
I gotta look this up.
Yep. But it was right around the time that Kane Hodder started getting big. And he was involved in a bunch of movie stunts.
Okay, so when did House 2 come out?
August 28th, 87.
Okay, so a year after. Never mind. I was wrong. It doesn't predate his appearance in Jason 6.
Yeah. It's around the same time, though.
Oh, yeah, it's still the 80s.
Yeah, late 80s. Yeah, it's right around where Kane Hodder started getting big. But he had been a stunt actor in a lot of movies before this, and a lot of
They do not get enough credit.
How
everybody always talks about the face actors, but nobody talks about the behind, the guys whose faces are obscured,
right,
behind the masks. So it's nice that Kane Hodder gets all the attention that he does for his roles.
Yeah. I will say, though, the worst part about this film, alright? The worst part about this film is the fact that Bill Maher's in it.
Yeah, easily.
Easily the worst thing. Fuck Bill Maher.
Like, he technically plays one of the movie's villains, and spoiler alert, he wins. He wins.
He wins. Yeah.
His evil plot succeeds. And he never gains a comeuppance for being kind of an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Like, what was even the point? Legit, what was the fucking point? Of three of the characters, there was no fucking point to them being there.
Other than to just provide motivation for the two characters that the film actually focuses on.
And provide conflict that doesn't ever get resolved.
Nope. Because like we said, Bill Maher wins, apparently.
Fucking asshole. Alright. So,
the movie starts with a couple basically giving their kid up to another couple, and then fighting a ghost and dying.
Yeah. Getting shot dead.
It sets up an interesting conflict, like an interesting mystery, that basically gets resolved by the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, just about. Long story short, this spirit is looking for a skull, and this couple doesn't know where it is.
So they give their son to another couple for protection.
And so, so the four principal characters, there's Jesse, there's Kate, there's Charlie, and Lana. Lana does not matter at all.
No, not really.
Not really. She is, sad to say, she's largely she's a plot device.
Yeah. So anyway, Jesse, who he
Same with Kate, actually. Kate's also just a plot device.
I know, but she presented as, like, a major character at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And then she's gone by, like, the halfway point.
Yeah, not even a spoiler. Not even a spoiler alert. Kate and Lana, they disappear for half the film. They are not here in the entirety.
They disappear for half the film and never come back.
Yeah, they never come back.
So it's like...
But so there's Jesse and then there's Charlie. They're both yuppies, so you know.
And Jesse specifically notes that he's actually named after his great-great-grandfather.
Yes.
Who I think built the mansion that he and, Kate?
Yes.
Are now moving into for some reason.
Right, and there's been a story passed down from generation to generation about his great-great-grandfather regarding his scallawaggery. Well, no,
skullduggery.
His skullduggery. Scallawaggery is something different. A scallywag is a hold on. So this is a bit of a southernism, but a carpetbagger is a white person who doesn't completely hate black people, and a scallywag is a southern person who doesn't completely hate black people. Both of those date back to the Civil War, or to Reconstruction era. So yeah, when somebody calls you a scallywag, it means you're not a racist. Yeah. But yes,
Nimrod was a hunter.
You got me there.
It's like how terms change based on usage.
People don't use scallywag or carpetbagger anymore because they're not really things anymore.
And nobody knows that Nimrod was a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the entire point of Bugs Bunny calling Elmer that.
Yeah. But, there's Jesse's great-great-grandfather, who's also named Jesse. So we're just gonna tell you what, we're gonna do Jesse, and then there's Jesse Senior, or Gramps, as he's called.
Yeah, spoiler alert, they find his grandpa!
Yeah. There's an old story passed down from generation to generation about his great-grandpa, Gramps, finding an Aztec skull. But apparently there were 2 copies of it. One that was made entirely of crystal, and then the other one which had gems for eyes.
And apparently in the real world there are supposed to be like 7 of them. Which is the premise of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Does this mean this is canon to the Indiana Jones movies?
God, yes.
No!
Yeah, I think there's only 7 that they found. In the real world, like we mentioned in the Crystal Skull movie, they found at least 7 of these crystal skulls. They don't actually know what they're for. And they're not shaped like they are in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They're more,
They're closer to how they look in this movie, so
yeah.
I'll give them that accuracy.
Yeah,
but
they're more, yeah.
They kind of underestimate how many there were.
Yeah.
This movie claims that there are only 2 of them.
But, you're right. But, yeah, there's only 7 that they found. It's believed that there's much more. It's likely that they had more ritualistic purposes rather than, like, they're not just for decoration, but we're not sure what they were for, because a lot of that's been lost to history thanks to Hernan Cortez and all those Europeans. Thanks, Europe. Colonization is better than having historical facts. Yay! But so there's two crystal skulls in this movie.
Not that it matters, because only one ever actually shows up outside of the cover of a book.
Yeah, yep.
Because Jesse's doing research on it. It's like, well, this one that's in this picture of my old great-grandfather, this one has jewels in the eyes, but the one on the cover of this book doesn't. So I guess this one is more expensive from the photo or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure what their reason was for digging it up exactly. I think they were like, we're gonna dig it up.
We're gonna dig it up and sell it. That's my assumption. But,
yeah.
But that plot point doesn't happen until Chuck shows up drunkenly with his girlfriend, knocking over some sort of small pillar out front.
Yeah, but there's also a second person in the picture with Gramps, and that's a gentleman by the name of Slim Reeser, who happens...
is voiced by Frank Welker.
Yeah? Listen, Frank Welker's in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We talked about this in the Scooby-Doo movies. He's in everything. He's arguably the most prolific voice actor of all time.
Although in this one, he's definitely just using his Dr. Claw voice.
Yeah.
It's fine for what it is.
Yeah, it's either Frank Welker or Mel Blanc for most prolific voice actor, because Mel Blanc was also in a ton of stuff.
That's fair, yeah.
So, yeah. So this Slim Reeser fella, apparently he's Gramps' former partner in crime, because they're both criminals. Let's just get that out of the way. Gramps is a criminal. He is a bandit who robbed and killed people blind. Like Slim Reeser, who he claims, spoiler alert, Gramps is alive. They dig him up, he comes back to life to attack them, and then Jesse's like, Gramps, it's me, your great-great-grandson. And Gramps is just like, well, goddammit, it's about fucking time. I've been waiting for someone to fucking dig me up.
I've been waiting for some idiot to come dig me up. Which makes me wonder, why was he buried in the first place if he was technically immortal? Because that's one of the powers of the Crystal Skull that he's got. He's technically immortal.
I think
he's technically a zombie also, but he's technically immortal.
I think his reasoning might be, if I dig it up, I can protect it. You know?
Maybe he wanted to be. Maybe he let himself to be buried just so that everything from all walks of time and space would stop trying to get the thing.
Possibly, yeah. I think that might be it too.
Because we soon learn that the house has portals to other dimensions and timelines, just hidden throughout it, that randomly open up to let just anybody who wants to get their hands on the Crystal Skull in.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's essentially the big plot of the movie. It's a base under attack kind of movie, but with interdimensional portals or pathways to other.
I mean, I think it made sense in the first movie when it was a haunted house.
This feels like.
I feel we forgot to mention the biggest point. Like, the main foyer of the mansion is basically just an Aztec temple.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it looks like somebody built a house around an Aztec temple and added on to it.
Yeah, in essence.
Because, like, the kitchen looks completely normal. The basement is fine. But the foyer and living room, that's just Aztec temple.
It's huge. But yeah, so Gramps eventually reveals that he shot and killed Slim Reeser in the Mojave Desert because they couldn't agree on who would get the skull. And so,
So Gramps got to continue his legacy in the form of genes, and Reeser didn't.
Genes. Talking about dominant and recessive genes. You enjoy all the killing. Sorry, Metal Gear.
I mean, they are bandits, so. And Reeser clearly didn't stay dead.
Yeah, honestly, do we even need a spoiler alert for this movie? Reeser's alive. I mean, it's...
Reeser's not alive, but he's not exactly completely dead either.
He's undead.
He shows up at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
he's the one who kills Jesse's parents.
He's undead.
Which somehow Gramps finds out about because he's got like a late movie reveal for Jesse. It's like, oh, he killed your parents. And you were like, how did he fucking know?
Yeah, how does he fucking know?
Buried. He was entombed.
But long story short, the whole reason for Lana and Kate and
Bill Maher
they show Bill Maher shows up because he's a big music producer.
So Chuck and his girlfriend came to the place to try and pitch the girlfriend's music career to Kate, because Kate is an agent for, I guess, a recording studio, and Bill Maher is her boss, who has come in to take a look at the talent. And they go out, and Jesse and Chuck go dig up Gramps. Gramps almost strangles Jesse before finding out who he is. And then they move Gramps down into the basement before the other three can come back.
Yeah, and Charlie apparently started hosting a big party.
A Halloween party. So I guess technically this counts for the spooky months. It's got Halloween in it, unlike the previous movie. But
and then a whole big misunderstanding happens because Jesse runs into an old friend, like an old girlfriend, who kisses him, and Bill Maher sees it, the fucking slimy douchebag,
and tells Kate.
Yeah, and then that's the whole conflict, and they leave.
And that's while a barbarian from like prehistoric timeline comes in to steal the Crystal Skull. So Jesse is waylaid from stopping the barbarian because his girlfriend slapped him for being kissed by an ex, which doesn't end well by the end of this whole plot line.
Yeah. So barbarian What was his name? I forget what they fucking called him.
Arnold the Barbarian.
Arnold the Barbarian. So dumb. Fucking whatever, man.
I mean, I get it. It's, evocative of Conan the Barbarian played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But...
honestly, what it is the first 20 minutes, it feels like it'll be like a normal horror movie. Or whatever, and then it just goes off the fucking deep end.
Because Grandpa gets introduced, and it's like, I went into this movie expecting them to go on an adventure, and then eventually, like maybe late in the movie, surprisingly find the Grandpa. No, they dig him up 20 minutes into the movie. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
That was kind of underwhelming.
And then it just goes off the fucking deep end. It fucking loses the plot so fast. But that's why I think it's one of those so bad it's a good movie. Because it's fucking insane. It doesn't make a goddamn lick of sense. But it's shot very nice. You gotta admit, at least it's shot nice and it's got nice set pieces.
Well, I guess at some point the partygoers leave along with the three characters that are no longer going to be in this movie. At least they leave temporarily.
Yeah.
Because this gives Jesse and Chuck some time to actually go into the other dimension, with Chuck bringing along his fucking Uzi.
Where does he get it from? Who fucking knows?
And they go to confront Arnold the Barbarian, and
so they open up one of the bedrooms, on the second floor, and it's like
it's just a portal to a prehistoric timeline.
It almost
like that horribly inaccurate dinosaurs and humans exist in parallel, Flintstones-esque. This is so wrong scientifically. Timeline.
Speaking of, here's a crazy fact. Now that we're in the prehistoric segment, we as humans we're closer to the T-Rex than the T-Rex was to the fuck, I forget what it was, but we're closer to the Cretaceous period than the Cretaceous period was to the Triassic. Essentially, the people don't realize just how long dinosaurs were fucking around. We're talking hundreds of millions of years. Humans have been around maybe 10 million at the earliest.
There's actually a pretty good video on Vsauce called, I think, Our Small Slice, that ends with basically a timeline of the Earth, and humans just show up like right at the end.
Yeah. We're not that like
modern humans.
Modern humans are maybe 100,000 years old. 100,000 to 200,000.
Like it go in the video. It's like it's right at the end of the video, but it's like it goes by in like a second or two.
And to put that into even further perspective, modern humans have maybe been around for 100 to 200,000 years. The earliest pieces of recorded history that we have that aren't cave paintings date back to maybe 8,000 BC. So we're talking like 10,000 years ago. That's how small things we are in perspective to everything else.
So then Jesse and Chuck manage to find the crystal skull pretty quickly.
Yeah, they find the crystal skull. They fight the barbarian.
Jesse tries to shoot the gun that Chuck gave him, only to learn that it was a goddamn lighter, like he guessed.
It's like it's like that scene in MASH where Frank Burns, he has like a mini gun or whatever, and he gets scared and he presses the trigger and it's actually just a lighter, and it's like, oh, oops. Yeah, so they get their asses kicked, and Charlie's about to get murdered until a dinosaur shows up and kills the barbarian.
But while all that's happening, a pterodactyl decides to show up and grab the crystal skull and take it up to its nest. So Jesse has to climb up to the nest. It gets attacked by a newly hatched pterodactyl, which is somehow covered in fur, despite the parent fur and feathers, despite the parent not having a single feather. It's like,
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
he gets into a fight with this baby pterodactyl. They stumble out of the nest. Chuck goes to catch him, and then they fall into the basement of the house.
Yep.
And Gramps is like, you couldn't just take the stairs?
Yeah, you couldn't just take the stairs, bud?
He's down there drinking beer, watching TV.
And he doesn't like TV, by the way.
Because there's so many channels and there's nothing interesting.
I had a really good. I had a good laugh when he was like, "Look at this Reagan guy, Reagan fella. This Ronald Reagan. He couldn't hack it in the old days." And I was like, "Yes, yes. I will accept all the Reagan hate."
There's also the scene where Chuck takes Gramps out driving. That happens earlier in the movie. Yeah. And they're both pissed.
Yep.
And they're both pissed drunk. So I guess I'll have that be like the spoiler point for the movie because it gets crazy real quick.
Yeah. After that, it just goes. So this movie's like a 2 out of 10.
I was generous in giving it a 4.
I mean, it's so bad. It's good territory, dude.
So it's like a 12 for you.
Yeah, it's like it's the Mahatma Gandhi civilization meter. It
rolls over and becomes super.
Yeah, it rolls over and became 125. Dude, this is a bad movie. I recommend watching it once just to laugh at it, and then never watching it again.
Yeah, I don't plan on watching it again. We didn't even get to John Ratzenberger.
Yeah, John Ratzenberger's in this movie. He shows up in like one scene. That's it!
One extended scene. And somehow they thought that was enough to put him on like the advertisement for the movie.
He shows up in one scene and he disappears and his character is never explained.
Outside of a quick, here's my card.
Yeah, here's my card.
It's like, oh, okay. Like he's the best character in this movie because there's clearly a whole other movie that could be dedicated just to him.
Here's the real question. We've watched some bad movies. Alright? Is this better or is this worse than Exorcist 2?
I mean, I had more fun with this than Exorcist 2.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I would say it's better than Exorcist 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember what score I gave Exorcist 2.
I remember giving Exorcist 2 like a 1 out of 10.
And even not just with movies that we've covered on this channel. I have definitely watched some bad movies.
Yeah,
King Dinosaur is awful.
There's some... Yeah, I've seen some bad movies.
The Asylum's Monster is a terrible Cloverfield ripoff.
Here's the real question, actually. Not whether it's better or worse than Exorcist 2. Is it better or worse than Manos, The Hands of Fate?
I've never seen that movie, so I can't comment.
Oh, shit. I have, and I can guarantee this is a much better production.
Well, it had a bigger budget.
Yeah.
And somehow actually knew what they were doing despite appearances.
For people who may not know, Manos, The Hands of Fate is
largely considered one of the worst movies ever made.
Not to be made by Ed Wood. God bless Ed Wood. I love him, but all his movies are terrible. Maybe the worst Hollywood director of all time. But Man of the Hands of Fate was a movie that was made as a bet.
Yeah.
From somebody who worked in Hollywood. I forget the guy's name or whatever.
I remember I read an article talking about the movie because I had never heard of the movie until then, despite it being relatively well known in bad movie circles, thanks to Mystery Science Theater 3000. But
He tried to kill him with a forklift. That's my favorite song at MST3K.
I should really check that show out more than what I have, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah, from my understanding, it was some guy who worked in Hollywood who wanted to do movies or whatever, and
somebody bet him. It's like, oh, I bet you couldn't make a movie.
Yeah, and it was like, ha!
I'll take that bet.
I'll take that bet.
And he made a movie.
It wasn't very good, but it was a movie.
It's like the Bebe's Kid tagline. It's a movie. I will always remember that movie purely for that tagline. It's a movie. It's like, well, you're not wrong.
The only thing I remember about Bebe's Kids is this is tangential actually. It's
tangential to tangential.
Yeah, it's a Nostalgia Critic's review of it. His attempt at doing an AVGN style review, and it's one of the first pieces of evidence that people point to where it's like, yeah, Doug does not know what he's doing. So, yeah. Favorite scene? I don't really care about spoilers. All right.
I'm thinking.
I think for the sheer insanity of it, it's the Ratzenberger scene.
Yeah. I'm leaning into that one too because that goes from, well, this is an awkward situation to like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What even is this movie?
It went from a 2 to an 11 really fucking fast.
In terms of intensity, I still think it's a bad movie, but it's like, what the fuck?
You know what? And maybe if we took acid and watched it again, it might actually be a way better movie.
No thanks. I don't know how I would react to it.
It might turn into the goddamn Mona Lisa. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
But yeah, no, I can definitely understand why this movie was bundled with the first movie on DVD.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was any other way they could sell it.
What about the third and fourth movie?
You can only get those in the UK. More on those next time.
God, no, please.
I have things to say. It won't be long, but we'll just discuss it. Don't worry.
Alright, why don't we just bundle them together?
Alright, fine. Bundle them together for the next movie.
Yeah, we'll bundle them together, because... But, yeah, so they finished the Jurassic era, the jungle.
So we're at the...
Yeah,
we're at spoiler point.
Oh, we're at the spoiler point. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why we were talking
your favorite character?
Ratzenberger.
Ratzenberger. It's Ratzenberger. He makes the movie, alright?
Bill the electrician.
Bill the electrician. Listen, this movie is bad, but John Ratzenberger, his one scene is the one saving grace of this film. It is so dumb.
It's so absolutely ridiculous that I can't help but love it.
Hold on, what was the scene I died laughing at? I forget.
I don't remember.
All I remember is there was a scene. It was so random. There was just a scene where something random happened, and I just fucking started dying of laughter.
It's like, I don't remember offhand.
I started going into my fucking witch's cackle, because I was like, this is so fucking dumb. Oh, I might have been the Ratzenberger scene. I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
What even is this movie?
What even is this movie? Okay, so recommendations.
I'm gonna recommend a Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury, purely for the fact that it's got witch in the title, because it otherwise has nothing to do with the spooky season.
Okay.
But it's a pretty good show. It's got a weird tonal whiplash between the two seasons, though. Like, the way the first season ends does not accurately reflect how the first season plays out, but it is a good lead up to the second season. So the premise is that this girl from Mercury transfers to this school for, I guess, technical knowledge or business knowledge. It takes place in a universe where mobile suit companies are like big corporations that are so massively powerful that they can suppress humans living on Earth in like a reverse universal century sort of way. Mm-hmm. Like Earthnoids are an oppressed people versus space noids. But so this girl goes to this school rescues a girl she found floating in space outside, like before she even steps foot. Gets into a duel with the like head honcho at the school, and wins with her super powered mobile suit, and now she has a bride.
Yay!
And she's all like, "Wait, what?" Because aside from the fact that she knew she was going to the school, she did not know what was all going on with this school until she got there, and it's like, what? It's crazy. It gets weird. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
All told, it's a Gundam show for sure. It just takes it a bit to feel like a traditional Gundam show. And I have been rewatching it at work because I now have it and can finally watch the English dub.
Yeah.
Although I prefer the Japanese version because the voice actress for Suletta, the main character, her utter stammering at just how awkward she is absolutely spot on. Like, I love it. I love how like she totally feels like an awkward teen. Just trying to be just out of her depth for the most part. It's great.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's also got like a darker side where like I'm rewatching the series, having watched the series first, and be like, okay, I know this is gonna get dark, and I can see the signs of it.
Very nice. Very nice. My recommendation. I don't think we've done it in the past. It's not a series, or not a TV series at least, but it did get turned into a TV series. I'm going to suggest Castlevania.
Oh yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah,
I don't think we've ever done any in the past.
No.
Maybe we've.
I think at one point maybe I recommended the TV series,
Yeah.
but like the whole series.
It's getting a new series too, by the way.
Nocturne. That's already out.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, you can pre-order the Blu-ray for it for the first season already.
Yeah, Nocturne is.
I still gotta get around to watching the fourth season of the show, though.
Nocturne is Rondo of Blood, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're just gonna skip over the fucking Simon Belmont era, which sucks because Simon Belmont's such an important character to the lore.
I know, but to be fair, the original plan for the Netflix show was to basically be a straight-to-video movie that was a retelling of Castlevania 3.
Yeah, I know.
So they kind of just went with that, and then they went on to the, I want to say, second most popular game in the series.
Rondo of Blood?
Second or third?
I don't think... I don't know if Rondo of Blood is more popular than...
It's certainly well known.
It's well known, but I think it's well known mostly in conjunction to its relationship to Symphony of the Night, though. So Symphony of the Night is the most popular game in the series. I think it's the best selling.
It spawned the generation of the series that I'm most fond of.
Yeah. I think the top 5 best selling, it's Symphony of the Night. Symphony of the Night's one of them.
In Japan, not the U.S.
Yeah, well,
it got passed over in the U.S. because Konami's like, oh, Americans don't care about 2D side-scrolling graphics anymore.
No kidding. Aria of Sorrow.
Oh, hell yeah, that's like my favorite.
Yeah, that one sold a shit ton. Castlevania 1 sold a shit ton.
It was Castlevania.
It was Castlevania.
Like, it's balls-tastically hard, but it's a classic for a reason.
It's still the hardest game in the series. Like, Castlevania Adventure is Castlevania the Adventure, it's a hard game, but that's because it's a bad game. Castlevania 1, it's a great game, but it is the hardest fucking game in the series. Like,
it is the kind of game that you will get frustrated, but you'll be like, alright, let's go another round.
Yeah, we got this.
You will be persistent because it kind of feels like at least a bit of it is unfair, but some of it is like, okay, I screwed up.
Lords of Shadow 1, is it Lord of Shadow? Or, what's it, the God of Vania games.
Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, Lords of Shadow, I think, was one of the best-selling also in the series.
I have to get around to playing that. I do have it. I got it pretty cheap years after the fact.
And then Super Castlevania 5 is also in the top 5. But
Wait, there's a Super Castlevania 5?
Sorry, Super Castlevania 4. 5 is Rondo of Blood. They just don't have a name for it, or they didn't have a number for it.
I mean, after 4, they stopped numbering them.
Yeah. So 4 is a remake of 1, but for the SNES, and it's gameplay wise probably the most polished.
At least of the classic generation
Yeah.
of Castlevania games.
Personally, I like 3 the most out of all of them. Because that's the one I played the most. But the reason I suggested Castlevania is because I just did Simon's Quest the other day.
Oh.
Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. I actually beat that in a couple of...
It's considered the black sheep of the family, but like even the angry video game nerd who had that be his debut video
Yes.
has gone on record in character saying that it's not as bad as some of the other games he's played.
So Castlevania 2, it's one of the early Metroidvania games. It's a very early attempt at a Metroidvania. It's similar along the lines of, because Castlevania has a weird history with its arcade and home ports. So there was Castlevania 1, and then they made an arcade game called Vampire Killer.
No, it was an MSX game.
Or MSX. Yeah.
Called Vampire Killer. And then the arcade game was
Haunted Castle. That's right. Okay. But Vampire Killer for the MSX, that one was a Metroidvania style game. It was a Metroid style Castlevania game. It was like an RPG.
You know what we should do? We should dedicate a whole video to just talking about Castlevania in general so that we don't have a repeat of our House 1 video.
Oh, God, yeah. But, no, I was playing Castlevania 2. It's a very early attempt at, like a Metroid-style Castlevania game. The biggest issue with it is that it is not very intuitive to the player.
Especially the English translation.
The English translation is objectively terrible.
Like, you're supposed to be getting hints and tips from the various townspeople that you encounter
right
at parts of the game, and the translation work was just so absolutely horrible that any tips you would have gotten are completely useless because they just are incorrect or so obtuse that you wouldn't even know what you're doing.
There's a specific one in the first town. I think it's the very first guy you meet. And he goes, a trader is giving out bum deals in town. And that's supposed to be a hint that you're supposed to find a certain character to get a key item, a white crystal, which opens up one of the first mansions.
But it makes it sound like you're supposed to avoid this character.
Yes, no, exactly. And then there's also one where it's like, the don't stare into the Death Star.
Yeah, which originally was just a reference to Fist of the North Star, with the Death Star being an eighth star in the constellation of the Big Dipper that you only see when you're on the verge of death or fated to die.
Yeah.
And they just included it, and it was like, wait, now Star Trek is canon to this?
Star Wars.
Star Wars is canon to this? Star Wars is canon in Castlevania? I mean, it did take place a long time ago.
Yeah, in a galaxy far, far away. No, I actually do get that reference. It actually makes sense in the lore. So Castlevania 2, long story short, it is a direct sequel to Castlevania 1, because both games have Simon Belmont, but Simon Belmont is dying in Castlevania 2. There's a soft time limit to the game. Also, on that note, the devs fucked up the endings for those. I don't know if you heard about that. About that legendary fuck up. They fucked up the text for each of the endings.
Yeah.
So the text for whichever ending you get is just completely wrong. Just completely wrong. Because like the bad ending is like, the battle's over. Like the worst ending that you get, the black and white grave, and it's like, the battle has consummated. Dracula's been defeated, and the people of Transylvania thank you, Simon Belmont. Your name will ring through the generations. And then you get the normal ending, and it's like, though the battle between Simon Belmont and Dracula has completed, Simon could not survive his mortal wounds. Transylvania's only hope is a young warrior who can defeat Dracula's curse. And it's like, great!
It's like one of the European endings to one of the Contra games where it's like, oh great, you managed to win, but then the alien's base blows up and destroys the planet Earth. Good job.
Good job.
And that's the only ending that game has.
What do you mean I didn't get to kill Hitler? Damn it! So yeah, Castlevania 2 is very good. If you're going to play it, I would highly recommend playing the redacted version, which is a fan retranslation, and it also fixes some of the minor issues that the game has. For example, like the day and night. Castlevania 2 also has a day and night cycle, and the transition in the original game takes 10 seconds, whereas in the redacted version it takes 3 seconds. It's much faster. So yeah, Castlevania. Definitely should do a talk on that at some point.
Alright, back to House 2.
Yay!
So, as they're recovering from falling into the basement, they find that Chuck has brought along an accidental stowaway in the form of the Catter Puppy. A caterpillar-looking creature with a puppy dog face.
Don't ask questions, just accept it.
It was popular enough that it showed up in advertising for the movie.
Alright. So meanwhile, Bill Maher, his fuckface is there.
Anyway, Jesse also accidentally brought the baby pterodactyl, so he has to rush up to try and get the crystal skull, hide the pterodactyl in one of the kitchen cupboards, hide Grandpa, who's come up for beer, in a closet, and then Bill Maher, Kate, and the other girlfriend show up to try and figure out what Jesse's doing in the kitchen that Chuck's trying to hide. I was like, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna level with you. Me and Chuck went into the graveyard, dug up my grandpa. He's still alive. He's got a crystal skull, and he's right here in the closet. And it's
Rochelle.
It's Jesse's ex. It's like, hi, Rochelle.
Hi. How's it going? What are you doing here? So Bill Maher
leaves with both girlfriends, and they are out of the movie entirely. Rochelle also leaves. Turns out Grandpa was using a hidden passageway to hide.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I was just going to play a bit of a joke on you, but clearly that didn't work out.
Thanks,
and I'm sorry you got hurt by it. It's like, it's okay. It's fine. We'll deal with it. We've got the crystal skull. I'm just going to go to bed.
I'm just going to go to bed. And then Gramps gets attacked.
It's like, okay, I'll watch your skull. He gets attacked by Aztecs during the night. Jesse wakes up, finds that Grandpa's been beaten half to death.
There were 1 million of them! There was 1 million of them!
There were 3 of them.
Yeah, it was only 3.
And only one of them managed to surprise attack him before the other 2 showed up.
Yeah, no kidding.
So he basically got taken out by one guy.
And then the best character in the movie shows up.
John Ratzenberger shows up as the electrician that Kate had called in because they were having electrical problems in one of the rooms. So he goes to investigate. Well, Jesse is like, okay, you stay here, I'm gonna...
Yeah. I like to work alone. And, John Ratzenberger, he's not just famous for Cheers. He's also
Ham in Toy Story.
Yeah, he was also Ham in Toy Story. I was just gonna bring that up. Like, if people recognize that name but can't place him, he's Ham from Toy Story.
You'll definitely recognize the voice.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He's got a very recognizable voice. So, yeah, Jesse and Chuck, they're about to go into.
They grab like swords. They're about to go into the fireplace because that's.
Yeah, they're like cutlasses or whatever. They're about to go into the They're about to go into the fireplace, and then Bill is just like.
Well, they try going in, but there's like nothing there. Yeah. And not in the good way, not in the way they were expecting. There's like nothing there. There's no portal or anything. And then and then Bill's like, you should probably come in here. We got a bit of an issue here.
Yeah,
we'll deal with that later. I'm trying to do something. No, I think you should look at it now.
I think you should look at it now.
Well, I'm busy. No, you really need to come in here and take a look at this.
All right. And then there's just a big hole in the wall.
Well, I think what you got here is a portal to another dimension. Now, I've seen this once or twice in my time. He opens up his toolbox, pulls up some of the tools, grabs his own cutlass.
Yeah. And they're just like, what the fuck? This is the point in the movie. He's just like...
I love how he, like, instantaneously goes from, oh, God, this is an annoying character who is just kind of out of his depth to... Okay, what the hell movie was this guy involved with prior to this movie?
Yeah. What the fuck is this guy seeing? He's just like, yeah, what you got here is a time portal. I see it all the time in these old houses. It's like, what? What the fuck? So he grabs his own cutlass and he's just like, alright, let's go.
So they go interrupt an Aztec ritual that's about to kill off a sacrifice. Managed to rescue the Virgin, reclaim the Crystal Skull in an epic fight scene that is just absolutely ridiculously fun, admittedly.
It's a good
it's easily the best scene in the entire movie for just how over the top it is. Like, what the fuck is going on? I thought this was a horror comedy.
And I love when Bill is just like, at some point he's just like, nobody's gonna die today. I gotta go to my son's baseball game.
You two go on ahead. Just follow the string. I'll meet up with you.
Yeah, it's just like, what the fuck happened?
So Jesse and Chuck managed to get out with escape with the Virgin. I was like, oh, where's Bill? They turn around. He's right there. Like, it's like, well, yeah, no. Just let me know if you need any more help. Here's my card.
Yeah, electrician.
Bill, electrician and adventurer.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
And then he leaves the movie.
He never shows up again. It's never explained where he came from.
And that's probably why he's the best character, because he's just like...
He is the big-lipped alligator moment of the movie. She shows up, you're just like... Alright, that was a thing, and then you move on.
So there is fun to be had in this movie. It's just generally a really bad movie.
It's just a bad movie, but that's why I think it's so bad it's good. Because that one scene, it's so fucking insane. You're just like, well, shit, what the fuck?
Okay, so now that everything has settled, they decide they're going to have dinner.
Right, so then we actually get into the main point of the fucking movie.
In like the last 10 minutes.
Everything's settled down, everybody's going to eat, and then Slim shows up.
He shows up out of Gramps' dish after it's uncovered. He rises up out of the table.
Which is a cool effect, all things considered. And then he shoots Grandpa.
Yep.
Shoots Gramps.
Shoots Gramps, kidnaps Chuck and the Virgin. Catter Puppy and the baby pterodactyl are just kind of there.
They kind of go into hiding or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get a big long chase scene, essentially, between Slim and Jesse.
and it spills back into the house after going into the Wild West at night.
Which involves jumping through windows,
Yeah.
by the way.
But because it winds up becoming a gunfight, the police are called in to investigate.
Which makes sense.
I mean, it happened in the previous movie.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. The police, or at least the chief in charge, knows that it's Jesse in there. He knows Jesse. He's familiar with it. He's wondering what's going on. He's telling him, like, Jesse, you gotta come out. We heard gunfires. You're not supposed to be shooting out in there. Just come out, put your weapons down, and I'll be fine. And Reeser, who's a madman, gunslinger.
Yep. So Jesse eventually
he gets into a gunfight with Reeser.
Yep. And he does eventually shoot Reeser.
Shoots his head off.
Shoot the decapitation.
Multiple times.
Yep.
And a pretty good effect, I gotta admit.
Pretty good effect. And then so then Jesse checks the window to check out the police, but Reeser's not quite dead because he may be headless. But god damn it, he ain't going down that easy.
Also, by this point, Jesse has reclaimed the crystal skull, which Reeser had stuffed inside his own body.
Oh yeah, and Gramps is dead.
But the only reason he manages to Jesse manages to get the crystal skull back is because Reeser decides to pull the crystal skull out, and then it flashes for some reason.
Whatever.
Which gives Jesse the opportunity to blow Reeser's head off.
And then Gramps has a scene where he's dying, and it's just like, keep the skull for yourself, yada yada yada.
Use the skull's power to get whatever you want, and then get rid of that bitch.
Yeah, that son of a bitch. So then he's checking out the window, and then Reeser comes up behind Jesse
with the shotgun Jesse had shot his head off with.
And Jesse ducks, Reeser shoots, and then the police chief gets hit. The police captain gets hit.
So then there's basically a shootout between the headless gunslinger and the police, who have no idea that there's a headless gunslinger in there.
And then a fire starts.
And Jesse manages to escape captivity while rescuing the baby pterodactyl catter puppy. And turns out Chuck and the Virgin and their new pets are now just hanging out in the Old West after burying Gramps.
By the way, yeah, we call the lady the Virgin because she does not have a name.
She doesn't even speak.
She has no spoken line.
Okay, I think she maybe speaks something, but it's definitely not English, so... And I'm pretty sure the credits just list her as the Virgin.
It's... Yeah, pointless character. I don't know.
One thing we neglected to mention over the course of this movie is that Chuck is an asshole.
Chuck is an asshole.
Chuck is an unlikable asshole who thinks he's likable.
Well, that's just yuppie culture in general.
Fair point.
I mean, you saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre too.
No, I didn't.
Oh, never mind then. Never mind then.
Stop assuming I've seen every movie you've seen.
Well, you like horror movies.
I do like horror movies. I just don't watch them very often.
That's your problem.
It is my problem. I admit it. I have a problem, and the first step to solving a problem is admitting you have a problem.
Listen, at least it isn't like The Thing from another world. Listen, there can't possibly be that many door openings. Oh God, no! No! I still have regrets.
I can't remember if we even mentioned it in a podcast we did.
I think we mentioned it once, but to reiterate the story, this was last year, around Halloween or so.
We were just checking out movies with VJ and his girlfriend, and one of those nights we decided to watch The Thing from Another World since we'd already watched The Thing.
Yep.
And this genius, right here,
yep.
What did you decide to do?
I was like, so the story goes that George Romero used to poke fun at The Thing from Another World because he joked that it's a movie about people opening and closing doors, and so as a bet. Not as a bet, but as a personal goddamn...
personal challenge.
A personal challenge. I decided I'm gonna fucking take him up on that. And
He turned it into a drinking game.
I turned it into a drinking game. Every time somebody opened a door...
You alone...
me and me alone would take a little swig.
Of alcohol.
Of alcohol. It was a it was a Long Island iced tea. I should have gotten something lighter, in hindsight. If it was a margarita, like if it was margaritas or something like that, I don't think I would have been nearly as plastered. But
and you got plastered.
And I got plastered. I got shit faced, dude. I got home and I'm just.
I lived next door to him, and I was hearing thumping going on in his bathroom, and I was like, I better go check on him just to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, I better go check on him to make sure he's not dead or something.
Right. Because those were some pretty loud thumps.
I'm just like, no, I just can't get out of the tub.
Well, okay.
Well, alright, as long as you're...
by that point you had gotten out of the tub.
Yeah, by that point I had gotten out. I'm just like...
well, okay, so long as you're safe, I'm gonna go back home.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep. I slept it off. I felt... It was like, as soon as I got home, it was like the last time, it was like that time that I had, sorry, but to finish that original thought, yeah, it was a bad idea, and by the time we got to, like, the 10-minute mark of the movie, the scene where they go out in the ice field, and they show the scene where they open up the plane door, I was like, come on, no! Why?
And like every subsequent time we'd have to like, we didn't know if you were paying attention, but like, take a shot.
Take a shot.
Another door.
And then they also had it where you had the sound effect of the door opening too.
So we gave you a bit of an out. But
yeah,
like,
you gave me an out.
You only needed to take a drink if it happened on screen.
And goddamn it, 57 shots later. But no, that experience as soon as I got home was very similar to when I took chocolate gummies, and I took too many, and it was a really good time until it turned into a really bad time, and then I ended up getting a migraine from it because it was like I got fucking absolutely smashed on that because it was like a pot chocolate gummy thing. Yeah, never doing that again. Never doing that drinking challenge again either.
I'm glad that I'm clean and sober all the time.
I only do it occasionally though. I haven't really drunken much since then. And only then I only drink a little bit, you know. I drink in moderation.
I mean, everybody has their vices. I mean, if I'm not doing drugs, but I'm certainly doing some other stuff that I probably regret at some point. It's all my gunpla. It's my gunpla. I'm addicted to gunpla. I'm sorry.
Damn you! I knew it. We're gonna have to stage an intervention.
You'll have to get through all the gunpla first.
Damn it!
It's like an entire wall of gunpla.
But so yeah, that's House 2. Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. I think it's so bad it's good.
I just think it's bad.
And that's fair. You know, that's fair.
I've seen worse movies, but this is not one that I'm really looking forward to revisiting at any point.
Dude, Exorcist 2 is so bad.
It's like, I am surprised at how much I forgot about that movie. I thought that it was just underappreciated. And then I watched the movie, I was like, oh, right, I only remembered the good parts of the movie.
Yeah, you only remember...
And that's relatively speaking.
Yeah, you only remember the James Earl Jones, rest in peace, parts.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
I forgot so much about that movie.
The scene with the house collapsing, that's the worst one. Thank God for Exorcist 3 to save the day.
Yeah.
Exorcist 3.
Much better movie, which we talked about last
Yeah,
year.
we did. Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually showed Palmer Exorcist 3 for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And he was like, it's a good movie, but it feels like it's missing something. And I was like, no, I think it's perfect. I think it's the perfect film. God, now I'm trying to think of other bad movies I've seen. You mentioned
King Dinosaur,
King-
which is ostensibly a space exploration movie where the titular dinosaur
I
doesn't
almost
show up until the final fourth of the movie.
I almost said King Dragon, but then we're like, no, that's a Pro ZD thing. King Dragon sends his regards.
Oh, you want to know what the worst part about it is?
Yeah.
Their entire effects budget consisted of just filming animals and making them look bigger in the 50s.
Yeah.
Although I think my favorite part is this one scene where this one character gets into a fight with an alligator for some reason. And he's practically Wolverine because he's recovered by the next morning. But there's like one point after they get the alligator off, they manage to chase off the alligator and are going to treat the guy's wounds. And this guy's girlfriend, who's a scientist, she's clinging to him. And then the other male astronaut just takes her and shoves her out of the way as though it were his man. It's like, oh no you didn't, that's my man.
Oh,
bitch.
No. Oh, you know what? Birdemic's pretty bad too.
I've not seen it in its entirety, but I have seen reviews, and yeah. I have no intention of seeing the movie because, wow, the reviews are enough.
I don't... Alright, this is just a personal opinion. I don't know how the fuck Sharknado ever got so popular.
It's an asylum movie, so it's objectively bad.
Yeah.
But I think it's just kind of the over-the-top premise, and the fact that that after it was a surprise hit, they decided to just lean into the wackiness and just not take itself at all seriously.
Yeah, because there's Sharknado, there's Sharknado 2, and then there's Sharkvano or something like that.
I think they made like 5 of them or something. It's like...
Jesus Christ, please.
And that just reminds me of another shark movie that they did. They did a 4-movie series about this mega shark.
Zeta Gundam is... Oh, let me finish my thought here on that. Zeta Gundam is bad, but not necessarily for the story, but how it's cut. Are
we talking about a new translation?
Yeah.
Okay, because the show itself is great.
The show itself is great, but
the new translation movies are.
New translation is objectively a bad way to watch it.
And apparently people love it. I mean, there's no accounting for taste, but apparently it's pretty popular. Maybe we're in the wrong.
I mean, fair enough. For people who like it, maybe they haven't seen the original Zeta Gundam, or it's the only way they're able to watch it. So it's sort of like, yeah, we'll take what we can get.
I'm just sitting here. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna stick to the TV show.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other bad movies now.
G-Savior, since we're on the topic of Gundam. That's a movie so bad that they couldn't even justifiably put the word Gundam in the title.
Star Trek Insurrection. There we go. That's a bad movie. We'll get to that if we ever get to it, but yeah, it's a bad movie. Generations also isn't very good. First Contact's great, and then Nemesis happens, and it's just like, alright, okay. Killed Star Trek for a while, actually. Nemesis and Enterprise both killed Trek for a while. Bad movies? We want to talk about bad movies?
Moontrap, Target Earth. I went into this movie expecting there to be a giant robot, And the robot that does show up in it looks nothing like it does on the movie's front cover and is only slightly taller than a human.
Nice.
I think the only saving grace of the movie is that the film's lead villain is just so absolutely hamming it up the entire time. Like, he's the guy from The Nanny.
Okay.
The rich guy who hires Fran Drescher's character. And he's like the only character in this entire movie that I know, and I really do not want to remember much about this movie other than that I'm wondering where is the trap and why is Earth a target, because none of that gets explained.
Yeah.
Like, none of this movie gets explained.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, what was that one movie that we watched a while back? It was it's like the guy on the motorcycle. Not Mad Max. It was like the guy, and then he was facing off against the guy. It was like the robot on the motorcycle, and then there was the guy who was like, "I'm the Jesus figure. Welcome to New Jerusalem," or whatever it was.
Oh, Hakaider.
Yeah, Hakaider. Yeah. That one I didn't like. I don't think it's a bad movie, but that one I really.
I love that movie just for the aesthetic of it. Like,
yeah.
Like, if you're talking about like the plot, yeah, it's technically a bad movie, but I'm not watching the movie for the plot. I'm watching it for like the action and the special effects work.
Yeah. You know what movie is? And there's a shit ton of like genre movies that are actually bad. Like there's westerns. Westerns are notoriously known for being bad. A lot of them. There's a couple of great westerns, but most of them are just like, this is not good.
I don't watch very many westerns, but one that I will mention here is Beast of Hollow Mountain, which I think is a good movie. And then a T-Rex shows up. And then it becomes a great movie.
The movie was fine, but then the T-Rex shows up. Also, I you know what? And then a lot of the 50s movies, a lot of those sci-fi movies from the 50s, a lot of those are not very good.
I mean, a lot of the ones I've seen, which involve giant monsters, I like those.
Yeah. But like, I'm trying to think, like what is it? The Screaming Skull, you know, shit like that.
Wait, is that the one with the gorilla robot? Or am I thinking of a different movie?
You're thinking of a different movie. Okay. The Screaming Skull is the one where it's like, where it's like, oh, my wife died, but she comes back as like a screaming skull, but it's just like, it's like a picture of a skull. That's just like.
I haven't seen that movie.
It's super dumb. But like for the 50s sci-fi movies, a lot of them, there's only there's The Thing, there's The Blob, there's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
And for the record, we're talking about good movies from the time.
Yeah, from the timeline. But then after that, there's like a big drop-off for 50s movies. Like, even The Tingler isn't that great. It's fine, you know?
I mean, it probably worked better if you watch it in the theater with the gimmick.
A lot of the William Castle movies worked a lot better if you had the live experience, but yeah, they don't particularly age as well. Hell, you know what? Even The House on Haunted Hill isn't that great from when we watched it.
I mean, that's just your opinion, man. I like it. I really like it.
Well,
To be fair, it's a mystery movie masquerading as a horror movie.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess I preferred The Haunting in comparison.
That's fair.
It's a very hokey movie. Objectively a hokey movie. Not saying it's bad or anything, but like, that's my cup of tea, I guess.
That's fair.
And I like a lot of horror movies. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 isn't? No, 3? 3 or 4? I don't know. One of those isn't very good. We're on the topic of bad movies.
Right, obviously.
Hills Have Eyes 2 is not very good.
Honestly, no. A lot of horror sequels are not good.
There are exceptions, however.
There are exceptions. Like, Friday the 13th is not... I would say they're not cinematic masterpieces. They know what they are. So they're not terrible. There's a couple of terrible ones.
Oh, hell yeah.
But, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 isn't very good.
It's like, I will argue that I actively dislike every even-numbered Friday the or Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I mentioned this before. I do not like 2, 4, or 6. And I think at the very least with 2 and 6, that's a generally agreed upon.
Yeah, people like 4 because 4 ties in nicely in after 3.
Whereas I'm not a huge fan of...
Except for the fact that Patricia Arquette does not show up in 4.
Right.
Which is a shame. But
But weirdly enough, I like 5, which, from a perspective of like, this is just... Oh, what?
Yeah, 5 is a bad film. I don't like
I did like it, though.
Yeah. I don't like 5 or 6. 4, I totally get the dislike for 4. They threw everything at the wall to see what stuck there. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a great film. Like, 3 is a good film. 3 is objectively a very good horror film. I like 1. A friend I used to have really didn't like 1. She was like, dude, the acting is so bad in it. I was like, hey, that's just like your opinion, man. Freddy's Dead sucks.
Yeah, 6.
6 fucking blows.
Yeah.
New Nightmare's great.
Oh, absolutely. I love that movie. That's basically what Wes Craven wanted to do with the second movie. Mm-hmm. And they just wouldn't let him.
God, I'm trying to think of other, like, bad horror sequels now. Because...
You're just blanking on Halloween's 4 onward.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to them, alright?
We have gotten to them.
Yeah.
And we will get to them.
Yeah, it's 5 this year. Oh, God.
No, it's 6.
Is it 6 already?
Yes!
Oh, can the series just be done? What the fuck are we doing? Oh!
Torturing ourselves.
Kill me.
Like good podcasters.
Kill me, please. Thanks. I
mean, at this point, we're just ranting about bad movies.
We're just ranting about bad movies, because House 2 is a bad movie. House 2 is a bad movie, but it's so bad it's good. I mean,
I will admit it had its moments.
Yeah.
It's just, if you held a gun to my head and told me to pick one or the the second or the first, I would pick the first, hands down.
Yeah, I
found that one to be a lot more cohesive, whereas this one just kind of is like, oh, there just randomly are portals to other timelines here.
I guess, for me, it's the argument between Crystal Skull and Temple of Doom, where it's like, do you want me to pick between a dull movie or an insane one? I'll pick the insane one 10 out of 10 times. And for me, House 1 was a bit dull. House 2 is insane. And so my preference is I'll watch the insane movie.
So as a result, we kind of have opposing opinions. Like I said, I prefer the first one over the second one.
House 1 is a better movie, but I find it dull. It's a bit dull.
There's no accounting for tastes, even ones as bad as yours.
Fuck you. House 2 is objectively terrible. Right? Like, it's objectively terrible, but it's so bad it's good, dude. It's insane. And I actually haven't seen Indiana Jones 5, even though I own it.
Same here. So we should probably get around to doing that.
We should get around to doing it, definitely.
After the Halloween season's over.
After that, yeah, maybe once it's over. And then maybe we'll get to Black Christmas or something like... No! The Black Christmas remake is a bad movie. Okay. I just thought about that. I forgot they remade it. That is a terrible fucking remake. Why did they even think to remake it?
Why did they think to remake a lot of movies?
If you haven't seen Black Christmas, it's made by the same gentleman who made A Christmas Story. So yeah, put that into perspective. There was actually an interview he did. I don't know if you remember Bravo's 100 Scariest Movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was an interview he did before that when Black Christmas came up, and he was like, well, you know, Christmas is always usually a time of joy, but, you know, it's also where, you know, where you have the most suicides and the largest portion of depression, and I thought, oh, man, wouldn't that be nice to make a movie about that? And it's like, wow, yeah, he gets it. It was something along the lines of, you know, Christmas, it's the happiest time of year despite the depression and the suicides and everything. And it's like, god damn, dude.
Also, a bold move to make a Christmas horror movie and not involve Santa in any way whatsoever.
Exactly. Yeah, no, yeah. Also, John Saxon's also in it. Yeah, he's also in that movie. Also as a cop.
He tends to play cops, apparently.
Yeah.
I recently watched the newest Pushing Up Roses video where she mentioned an episode of Murder, She Wrote that he's in, and mentioned that he has a tendency to play cops.
Yeah, it's his biggest role.
Yeah, she specifically mentions Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Which is of course what I remember him from.
He's in Black Christmas. He's in Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 3. He's in a couple of other movies I forget about, but yeah. Zombie 2. I don't know if we consider that a good movie or not. Yeah, Zombie 2 is weird. It's a pseudo sequel of Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, it's got a zombie fighting a shark, alright? So, I mean, it has...
Well, how is it bad?
Yeah, how can it be bad? It's got a zombie fighting a shark. Can't be bad.
You defeated your own logic.
I know I did, sorry. Oh, honestly, the remake to Day of the Dead is terrible. It is a vegan zombie. A zombie who doesn't eat people.
Like, the only reason that would work is if it's a parody. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm a zombie. Oh, no, I only eat it.
Yeah, no, but it's played straight. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's played straight. Like, oh, he was a vegan in real life, so he doesn't eat people.
It's like, okay.
Okay, alright. Any other...
I mean, I'm pretty sure most zombies didn't eat people when they were alive, so I don't know why suddenly being vegan would stop that from being a thing. Yeah.
It's a bad movie. And I like Day of the Dead, the original. Day of the Dead is probably the most underrated of Romero's films. Maybe not as much as of his big films. Maybe not necessarily as because Creepshow is very good. Creepshow 2 is sort of fondly remembered, both of them.
Tales from the Dark Side is a great show.
Yep.
He produced that.
Martin is a very weird film.
That one also got a remake.
Oh, did it? Oh,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Like, that's how he... that and, oh, God.
I understand why Night of the Living Dead got a remake. Tom Savini made it, and it's alright.
I think that was actually the first not Living Dead movie that I actually saw.
Yeah.
I'd seen that before even seeing the original Night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, what was that other one? The Maniacs or something?
Oh, Maniac?
No, it was like...
Oh.
It was definitely a remake of a George Romero movie.
Oh, I don't remember. Because there's Night of the Living Dead, there's Martin, there's Dawn, there's Day, and then he did Creepshow 2, and then Land of the Dead. There was something in between. I know he also did
Yeah.
Good. First result in my search. I just needed to type in George.
Oh God. Yeah.
Now I gotta go to a separate article. The Crazies.
The Crazies. Oh yeah, that one's fine. That one's all right. But
I was just bringing that up because I knew that he had a remake.
yeah.
Also, he did the dark half.
Yeah, he also did Season of the Witch, which is also all right. It's fine.
Not to be confused with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Yeah. Oh, Knight Riders. He did Knight Riders, which is a crazy film, by the way.
I mean, at some point we got to get around to talking about at least some of these movies.
No shit. I've been trying to get you to do the Dead movies forever, and you're just like, yeah, we'll do it eventually. And we never do it, because we're always, like, pushing it back for other films, like fucking House.
Then let's do it next year for Halloween.
All right. But no,
I was actually kind of wondering what your pick would be for them.
I was also thinking maybe we do more Argento films too.
That's fair. We can totally do that.
Yeah. I think we've been ranting too much, I guess.
Yeah. We wound up doing a reverse the House.
Yeah.
It's like let's stop talking about this thing that has nothing to do with House to talk about House, and then we go on a rant about more stuff that has nothing to do with House.
Nothing to do. Well, that was tangentially related because we were talking about bad movies.
And this entire time we've just had House 2's poster.
Yeah, it's just House 2's poster. It doesn't matter. House 2's bad enough. Yeah. Alright, I suppose we better cut it.
Alright. See you next time.
Bye!